And then Mayapur we had these two schools, the international school and the Gurukul here. And after the national school, they opened also to facilitate for local people from outside, even people from Krishna-nagar. They send their children to the national school here. It has a good reputation. But here in Gurukul, the main principle that we have here is not for giving certificates or just degrees. Gurukul here is to train devotees, to make devotees. And for being a devotee, certificate is not enough. You might have your Bhakti Shastri certificate, but that doesn't certify nothing about your bhakti actually. His Grace Atmatatu Prabhu, he was here, he said, this certificate paper, he said, especially nowadays, there's such bad quality they print. He said they are good for cleaning your tongue only. Anyway, it's not that, I'm not saying that we can't engage our abilities in Krishna consciousness. That's okay, whatever we learn, whatever technique we learn, or skills we learn, or knowledge we get, we can engage in Krishna consciousness. But if we can start training children from 5 years old in Krishna consciousness, how to overcome their anarthas, how to have a good sadhana, good bhajan, then it's very powerful. And we see this from ancient times. No? Prahlad Maharaj, so many examples are there. So this Gurukul is based in this principle. So we teach the children how to be devotees. That's the first and main concern of this school. And along with that, then of course we teach different subjects and skills. They need these skills for life, for service, for their maintenance and occupation. And we see Gurukul is giving very good results for many, many years. And it still is a project that is not fully developed. It will be fully developed when we have 3 generations already. Of course, in ISKCON we always have first generation because we are a preaching movement. So although we have our children and our children, they will have their children, but we always have newer generations to come. So Gurukul is adjusted to that also, to facilitate the devotees for the second generations and eventually the third generation. We already have many boys here that their parents were in Gurukul. Not many, but we have some here. The parents were here in Gurukul, or they study somewhere else, and their children are here in Gurukul right now. So in this process, when these generations, they are trained in a proper Vaishnava mood, Vaishnava culture, then it's very strong, really strong. Because the culture is the most important thing that the children they will learn in Gurukul. Yesterday I was reading about corporative education, which is very very famous nowadays. So many of these big companies, they have universities. And one big professor, he said, your culture will eat your strategy for breakfast. He mentioned like that. You can make the best strategy, plan, PowerPoint, and this and that. But the culture you have will destroy your strategy. So Gurukul is based in culture, proper Vaishnava culture according to the Vaishnava Charis. So here the boys, they practice all kinds of services for Krishna. The division of the curriculum is that they do service, they do rituals. By rituals I mean deity worship and yajna also, and they do Goshala cleaning. So this is half of the day that they have in the school. and the other half is classes, different classes they have. And then when they start to get mature, then they get responsibilities. They start taking care of other children. Then we have boys taking care of different departments of Gurukul also, like Prabhupada designed ISKCON. No? We have one boy taking care of Gurukul shop. We have one Gurukul shop here in Mayapur, and he takes care of the shop. We have boy taking care of our YouTube channel, all these kind of services. No? This is all part of the curriculum. So that's basically how we live our life, a very healthy life, very sattvic life. You saw the environment is very, very sattvic. Little electricity we use here in the school. The cooking is very sattvic, only cow dung and ghee. The environment, so many birds. When I come here to Gurukul every morning, I feel like I'm entering Satya Yuga. I feel like I'm entering on a sanctuary. And actually it is, because so much of devotional service is being practiced here, and these boys, they're all fully trained brahmacharis. So much austerity they do. We have around maybe 12, 13 pujaris. The boys, they take care of the deities. We don't have labors for the kitchen. Maharaj Bhakti Arjava Priti Maharaj is cooking with the boys practically every day, teaching the boys how to cook properly for the Lord. Bhakti. And through that sadhu sangha in between teachers and students, then we developed, then our bhakti is developed. So that's the mood of Gurukul, trying to please His divine grace. And then through this sattvic mood, then it's very easy to think on the Lord. No, you don't have distractions, electronic distractions, and by the proper vastu and all this, then the mind is much more peaceful here in Gurukul. I had one boy I sent to this Gurukul many years ago, maybe 12, 13 years ago. I sent this boy here to Gurukul, and he graduated from Gurukul. Then he went to his country actually he went to live there, do his service, engage in the temple. Then after 1 year, he came back to Gurukul. Not to stay, just to visit us. Visit his teachers. He came with his wife, got married, came with the wife. And then I asked, so how was that? And he said, it was nice. But temple, so many politics. He said, so much politics, this, and that. So yeah, I told you, Gurukul, you are very much protected. This environment is like a sanctuary. He said, yes. Because here we never had that, these things. Of course, it's part of life. Huh? Chanakya Pandit saying, no, you learn 1/4 of your knowledge from the teacher, 1/4 of your knowledge. Actually, I discovered that this verse is in Mahabharata, originally. 1/4 of your knowledge from your teacher, 1/4 from your friends, 1/4 from self-study, swadhyaya, and 1/4 from life. So now he's learning from life. But we also prepare them to deal with life situations. And we have around almost 70 boys now in Gurukul, from 5 to 20. We had bigger boys, but they went for 1 year preaching experience. We have 6 older boys from 20 up. We have one in New York. He's with the Harinam group there. We have one boy in London doing book distribution. We have one boy in Kenya also preaching. one boy with Lokanath Maharaj's Padayatra group, one boy in Kazakhstan preaching with Niranjan Maharaj, and one boy, I don't remember exactly, but 6 boys. They are all around. So we have this, and now we have many small boys in the school. We are trying to focus more and more in younger generations. Prabhupada, he had that vision also that when he wrote that Gita Nagari manifesto, that Prabhupada wrote before he went to the West. He wanted to take Gandhi's movement, the mood of that time, and he wrote that very nice letter. It's not a letter, it's a document. And he was planning his society or community. And there he says we take children below 7. Of course, in ISKCON we take children, any age, Gurukul also, but usually teenagers, when they come from regular schools, they find lots of difficulties dealing with the Gurukul environment. And we try to keep the innocence of the children here. Purity and these high values of life, like that. So if you have questions to make, anything you are curious or want to know about the Gurukul, sorry, we don't have proper facilities, very simple. But as I said, it's a brahmachari ashram facility. So, yes, please.
How is the intake process?
Intake process. Okay, intake process of Gurukul. First we ask the parents to read the admission policy and the prospectus of the school that we have online in our website, and then they come for an interview. And then in the interview, the teachers, they observe the students and the family. And we have one thing we say, 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, and 3 years. So for the first 3 minutes, we observe the attitude of the child, like that. Then when they come to the school, the first 3 hours we observe, see if they are fit to be here, then 3 days. Then 3 months is the trial period finishes. If they pass through these 3 months, then basically they stay in the school. And like that, we just observe the attitude of the child. And sometimes in the interview, we see that the parents, they have to work with the child more. Like we had, maybe last year, family came with a boy, and the boy could not sit down, just sit down, running around. The father had to run after him. Then he said, Prabhu, next year. Not this year, next year you come. Or sometimes we say, because we start the year here in Vishwarup Mahotsava, so that's around September. And then we say, or Gur Purnima, you come back, we try. Then same year, another boy came, and the parents, they sat in the bench. The boy had a blanket like I have. He was sitting in the floor. And then by the end of the interview, the boy folded, 5 years old, folded his blanket, turned off the fan. We say, yes, this boy, bring him in immediately. But of course, we work with all kinds of children. It's not that we just take. But Prabhupada mentioned that the families, they should train the children properly. We had one question this morning that we're receiving a group of teachers giving a training from ISKCON Hungary, and they asked about the training of the children before they come. And I was mentioning that before, and perhaps some of you had this experience, Actually, I mentioned that there was a batch of students, 5, 6 years old, 2 years ago. I brought them to my house. And they were in the school for 1 or 2 months only. They entered my house, they went to my children's room, taking the toys and jumping in the couch and like this, so I chastised them. Like, why are you doing this? And I was telling these teachers this morning that I remember when I was young, I went to someone's house and the person offered me a toy. I would first look to my mother if she would allow me to take the toy. I didn't ask anything. I was just looking at my mother, just looking. With her look, I could see if she say yes or no. Then I would take. So I think some of you had the same experience. But somehow the newer generations, they don't get that training. And Prabhupada mentioned that also to Pradyumna Prabhu. Pradyumna was one of the first scholars in ISKCON, Sanskrit. And then Pradyumna was giving some complaints about his son in Gurukul like this. And Prabhupada said, oh, why you didn't train your son before he came to Gurukul? Now you're complaining. He tells Pradyumna. But of course then we know that children, they have playful nature. So that's not the case. But we try to keep a high standard of accepting children to the school.
Timetable you follow and subjects you teach.
What subjects we teach? Okay, our academic curriculum is based in the 14 books of Vedic knowledge. So we divide these 14 books in 6 areas. So we teach mantra, different mantras they learn, the traditional method used in Gurukuls. Then we teach them rituals. By rituals, I mean all the festivals we have, because all festivals we have in Mayapur, they are organized by the Gurukul boys. I think only Gurupurnim, because it's a huge festival, then the management they organize. But all the festivals, Nrsimha Chaturdasi, the Janmashtami, Radhastami, the boys they organize. So when I say rituals, it's also this part of different ceremonies and festivals. Then yagya and deity worship and all the pancharatric lifestyle. So this is the second area of curriculum. Then we have language that they learn Sanskrit and English in the school. And then we have the part of mathematics that they learn Vedic maths and geometry and Jyotish, astrology, astronomy. And then we have social science, civics. Civics is Puranic, the Puranic knowledge that includes all these areas of the Puranas, no? The history, different dynasties, history of kings, and geography according to Purana, these sessions of, and then including there also the Vastu, Shilpa, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Ved, all these areas of social knowledge. Then we have Dharma, that they also learn Niti Shastra, Artha Shastra, Chanakya, Manu Samhita, all these areas of Dharma, and they learn the philosophy Prabhupada books. Basically, the whole structure of Gurukul is targeting the boys to understand Srila Prabhupada books and apply in their life, especially Srimad Bhagavatam. And the 64 arts that Krishna learned in Gurukul. So these are the 6 areas of knowledge or subjects that we have. And within these subjects, there are so many subjects inside. And Actually, we say Gurukul, but here at Bhaktivedanta Academy, we have different schools in the school. So it's not just one school. So, and we see even Krishna, he learned, when I say Krishna, not only the Krishna in his original form, but you see Krishna went to Gurukul, Lord Ramachandra also, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he never went to Gurukul, to live in a Gurukul. He used to learn from Vidyavachaspati in his stall. Tall is the day school, no? Go in the morning, come back in the evening. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he ran a tall also. He had his students, they would come in the morning and go back home in the evening. So Gurukul, we have day school and we have ashram schools. We have both. So we have some boys, older boys, they live here in the school. And those who live here, then they wake up, bigger boys at 3:30 and then smaller boys, smaller I say in the ashram, around 10 to 13, 14, they wake up 4 o'clock. Then they attend, some they go for Radha Madhav's Mangalarati and some they do Mangalarati here. And then the day schoolers, they come by 5:10, day schoolers. And then the ashram teachers, they are here with the boys, and the grihastha teachers, they come at 5:10 also. Some grihastha teachers, they come earlier here. And then we have japa, everyone together. Then after japa, we have the darshanarati, Guru Puja for the kids. After darshanarati, Guru Puja, we have philosophy class. And philosophy class is different for different ages. We have some boys studying Bhagavatam, some boys studying Gita, some boys then studying the basic philosophy, Upanishadic philosophy to understand Prabhupada books. Those who are smaller. Those who cannot, read Prabhupada books and understand Prabhupada books, they are prepared for that. Then after philosophy class, they have service. Then I have a system of groups. The boys, they go in different groups with a group leader. And they go to different parts of the school. Some go to the kitchen, Goshala, building, then toilets, then the temple room, different groups. They go and they clean the whole school with the teachers. And they do that for around 50 minutes. Then again, the whole school go for kitchen service. Then they all go, and in the morning they already cut all the vegetables for lunch, and they organize for breakfast. Then after that we have breakfast. Then after breakfast they have classes. Some of these classes I mentioned. Then after they have classes, they have seva again. Then they go to their groups, Goshala, building, big hut, like that. Big hut is the temple. And then after service, again they have kitchen service for about 20 minutes. Just organizing everything. The boys, they cook themselves with the teachers. And after that is lunch. Then after lunch they have some free time for them to play. Then they have martial arts class. Small boys, they have the PE class in the morning. They have yoga and martial arts. Small kids. Then the big boys, they have only martial arts. And then after martial arts, then they have another class, which is going on right now. And after that, they have mantra class. They have a small period of service again. Then the mantra class. After mantra class, then they do Gaurarati, short Gaurarati here. Then they take some dinner, usually some light dinner, and they go to sleep around 6:30, 7 o'clock, they go to sleep. Those who stay here. Small boys, they go home at 5 o'clock. So that's just a general There are different schedules for different groups, but that's more or less the general. And then this schedule runs not half of the year, but some months in the year they do. Now from Kartik Purnima till Gura Purnima. They do Hati processions on Saturdays. Sunday is more or less like a free day for them. And those who live in the ashram, the parents, they come to visit them, to stay with them. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, is there a library section in this?
Yes. We have a library here with 10,000 books, physical books, and we have maybe 100,000 digital books from all sections of the Veda. And we have library from Vaishnavas and deities from Vaishnavas. Like you see in your back there's Suhotra Maharaj Samadhi. His Holiness Suhotra Maharaj, he left his body here, actually in Gurukul. He left his body while he was working on Srimad Bhagavatam with his japa in hands. He used to stay very quietly in one room he had. It's like a gambira. He's underneath that room, and he would lock himself and stay studying Bhagavatam for day and night, sometimes 2-3 days. Like that. And he was compiling materials. One time devotees thought Maharaj is not coming out. Let's see what happened. Then they knock. No one. They open the door. Maharaj was sitting with the japa in his hand like this. Goloka. So he left his deities, his books. So we have this Shyamasundar Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, the astrologer. He gave us his library also, came here. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he wrote in his statement also that his library is supposed to be here in Gurukul. Now he's in Oxford University, but we are friendly trying to get the books here because it's a good collection, and also it was his desire. No? So we have, very good library. We have some manuscripts, ancient manuscripts from Vaishnavas from centuries ago. So we have that section. Actually, this building is the library. We use for different things because Gurukul is still expanding. We are building another building just like this in the opposite side, but it's still in the foundation. So the vision is that any educational institution should be based in books, Prabhupada books. So actually this building is the altar for the library, actually, this building. And we use for some other things because, like Boys Day, sleep in some offices we have. Once we have the other building done, then all rooms here in this building will be library. Yes.
Way back I saw a video named For Tomorrow by Purushottam.
Ah.
So does he still reside in Gurukul? Is he graduated?
No. He didn't graduate actually. His brother was older and the father was a teacher here, Sanskrit teacher. But then they went back to America. The father is in between Mayapur and US, but the boys, they went back there. So he's not in Gurukul. He was here for many years. Yeah. Mataji?
I'd like to know the aspect after graduation. Is my question because the kind of subjects that you teach here and what we teach in what I've learned is very different.
Yes.
How do I know that whatever I'm going to be good at, or what kind of a university, or what kind of further education would be good?
Yeah, Prabhupada mentioned about Varnashram College. Many times you go through Prabhupada books, you see his conversations. Many times he spoke about Varnashram College. And we facilitate that for the boys here in Gurukul. So we have primary, secondary, and tertiary education, and quaternary education also, that Maharaj teaches. Some degrees that Prabhupada he mentioned. Master of Divinity, Doctor of Divinity, Professor of Divinity, Prabhupada mentioned. So That's in the philosophy section. But then boys, when they learn the basics of the secondary, then they have training in what we say is the Varnashram college, that they learn the subject that they actually have the nature to apply as their occupation. Like I said, this boy who is taking care of our YouTube channel, he wants to be a movie director. That's what he wants, he likes. He did many movies since he was small. He would like to do movies in the school. And this year, he made one movie, one nice movie, and we released here in for the community and for the devotees who are coming for the Gurupurnima festival. This very nice movie had many views in YouTube. It's a 1 hour, 15 minutes movie, and through that he's learning. So we assist him in the process. So he go through different. It's a specialization. He just gets specialized in the area that he likes. So he can use for his vocation, for his occupation, for his devotional service, for his maintenance, whatever he needs. And then we facilitate. He was in that, he just got 2 diplomas in that Coursera. Some of you might know this Coursera. It's famous education platform. No? He got a scholarship. He wrote them about his lifestyle, what he was doing. He was doing online studies, some techniques, but he follows the whole sadhana as a brahmachari. And then they get specialized. Like I said, there was one boy, he came with a group from China. He was Chinese, and he finished his education here. He was the first one when we opened the Gurukul shop, taking care of the Gurukul shop. So he would travel, learn about business, everything about business. And now he's maintaining himself doing that, business, a businessman in China. So they learn by practice. We had these devotees from Hungary here, and then one boy asked me, Prabhu, they sit 5 hours every day here just hearing all teachers. How they can do that? I told him, you see, that's university. But 4 years, not just few weeks. That's 4 years, just hearing. Sometimes the teacher is teaching you business, but he never did business actually. He's just some theory. What does he know about that? So we try to get them specialized. There was another boy who was taking care of Gurukul shop. He's now traveling preaching. We try to see boys who have that nature. He's from Jewish family, so business is in his blood. So one day I was coming, he had many bottles with him. Then I asked, what is this? And he said, oh, this is liver tonic. Oh, liver tonic. And what's that for? He said, I'm exporting this to China. So he's practically learning how to export, import, making documents, profit and contact, and the globalized world, the time difference and communication, all this. And this is all for learning. So he knows how to do. He can run a business if he wants. So like that.
You all also provide a little bit of internet. So do you all also provide internet access or any technological access to the students, or that's not?
Yes, they got, like I said, these boys learning through Coursera. Once we see that they have responsibility, then they have access to some computers we have in the school, like that. Yeah. But we don't focus with the smaller children. We don't give them any access to computers or electronics. And they're so smart. In 2-3 months, they can type faster than me. These newer generations, not the millennials, they say, no?
Like we have standards, 4th standard, 5th standard. How do you divide the kids?
Kids are divided by character, not by knowledge. Not by modern schools, they divide by knowledge. You know how to do this, and actually it's not even knowledge, it's just short memory. That's what they assess from you. It's a short span memory. After you do the exam, 70% your brain tells you, take all this out of your mind. It's all useless, because it is. And actually it is. So you go for the exam, you do the exam. So it's not actually knowledge, but they focus in that. But Gurukul is focused in character. Because that's the Vedic standard. No? You have knowledge, but you don't have character, it's not a good combination. Then you create all this out of Hitlers and all these personalities. They're very intelligent, but character, zero. So they are divided by, you can see by their chadars. You can see we have 6 divisions. When they come, they use the plain white chadar, then Prarambika. And Prarambika, Praveshika. Praveshika, Upaveshika. Upaveshika, Vatu. Vatu, Upanayini, Upanayini, Upashastri. So they get qualified by their character and different qualities, Vaishnava qualities they have to show. Like Pranamikas, they chant 4 rounds, and Praveshikas 8 rounds. Then for Vatu, they must chant 16 if they want to get Vatu. So like that they go. Actually nowadays it's not even knowledge, it's more skills. No? Skills, just skills. You know how to Google things, then you have skills, and what do you need knowledge? If you have on hard drive with all the knowledge you need, you just have to go and find, type it, find. I see, these personalities nowadays, huh? What's the name of this guy from Facebook? Zuckerberg. Huh? Yeah, what knowledge this guy has? He has some skills. To engage people in sense gratification, then he gets money. So nowadays it's not even knowledge, it's more about having few skills to attract people's senses and make them slaves of your, how you say, your plan or your greed, like that.
How many years of student studies here?
From 5, here we have from 5 to 25, like Prabhupada mentioned in Gurukul.
Only fees?
Fees. We charge some fees, but basically it's only for boga and maintenance. Teachers here, we get some donations from outside like this. So every month Gurukul has to see how to maintain the teachers. No? We are maintained by the school. So the school maintains our house, and they give minimum assistance so we can live our lives. It's something small. And then for the boys, it's around 9,000 a month. That goes for the uniform, materials, books, the boga that they eat here, 3 meals a day. Winter clothes, yeah, everything they need in the school. Then also the medical, whatever we can supply for the medical assistance. We have a nurse, now we have an Ayurvedic doctor full-time here in Gurukul, like that.
Guruji, here also you are conducting some examinations like we are.
If we give examination. The best examination we have, And that was installed by His Grace Atma Tattva Prabhu many years back. For the first Bhakti Shastri course in ISKCON was here in Mayapur. Much before VIHE, MIHE or any other ISKCON education board. Then he will give Bhakti Shastri, final exam, he will give a broom to each student, and now you can just sweep the floor and now check if you learn Bhakti Shastri. So there are different kinds of examination. Drona, he was examining his students, no? What do you see there? And Arjun saw the eye of the bird. So there's so many ways to examine. So we don't focus much in this short memory span examination. Well, we have some kind of exams we give to the boys. We test their character to see if they have determination to follow devotional life, to serve the Vaishnavas, to serve the Dham, Sadhu Sangha, how much they can relate with Vaishnavas nicely, how much they can chant the holy name, how nicely, hearing, how much they can, different grades. Like small children, the first hearing that aspect that we check is if they just raise their hand for speaking. That we understand, they know how to listen for their age level. This 5 years old, 6 years old, like that. They can't just come and they raise their hand. For eating, they want any other preparation, raise your hand. For sitting down before the class, may I sit? So different grades. So when you live with your student, there's no need of doing this kind of assessments, because it's like your child in your house. You not give an exam to see if your child is good or not. You tell your son, your daughter, please sit here. I'll give on paper to see if you are a good child or not. You know if your child is lazy. You know if your child is good in language. You know if your child is good in logic. You know. And then you give different obstacles that they can move on and on and on according to the student. Is one examination for everyone? That's not very conducive for education. For industrial work, that's conducive, but not for education. Prabhupada never gave to the devotees. He said, I'll give you an exam for giving the Bhakti Shastri, but very simple exam, and devotees were not trapped in classrooms hours and hours, just doing book distribution, studying his books. Some of the most scholar devotees that I know, they read Srimad Bhagavatam in the streets while doing books. They are the highest scholars in ISKCON. Some are PhDs now. They read Srimad Bhagavatam, when they were in the bus going for book distribution, coming back, like that. So Gurukul is more for character and bhakti. Yes?
For example, if a student has an axial inclination towards one particular field, say music or say art, or you mentioned business, is he trained from the very cub level for that field?
He should. Like Prabhupada, he said, even for Sanskrit, Prabhupada said, you can see his letter. No, we don't need grammarians. But if you like this, then you can go. But don't make for everyone, that everyone should learn this. No? So, even this boy from the movie, Purusha, his brother, he read, he studied whole Panini Vyakarana in Gurukul. Whole. I don't remember, so thousands of shlokas he was studying, because he wants to be a Sanskritist. So we facilitate that. That's Prabhupada's method, no? Prabhupada never sent Jadurani for art class and look her paintings. He didn't know how to draw. She didn't know how to draw. Look her paintings. Prabhupada never sent Yamuna for cooking class. And her book was the, how you say? Selling in America. And she didn't know how to cook. Prabhupada never brought her to... It's just, you connect the activity to Krishna, then there's no limits. But you go to one university to hear from someone who has a limited vision of reality, limited knowledge. So you can go just up to that level. But with Krishna, there's no limit. With Prabhupada, there's no limit. So we facilitate that. No? Music, all this. See, devotees, they record album with the Beatles. The most famous music group in modern history, we can say. And devotees, they record, who could do that? Only Prabhupada disciples. So, like that.
So, like, what is the difference between the training given in the Gurukul or in the training given in the ashram, Brahmacharya?
No, it's the same. But just, of course, with children, you have to deal differently because they're children. So, there's this aspect on how to deal with children. But the training is basically the same. It's a ashram as Prabhupada designed.
But it seems like we have missed this. Gurukul training, we have missed it.
You missed?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you start when you can. No? You could not start with 5, then you started with, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, 20, whatever. No? So it's like this. And there's no harm. You start that age. Sometimes you get boys who come here older, little bit older, and they adjust. As a brahmachari, they learn. We just had a boy who graduated, he came with 18. He graduated, he stayed 5 or 6 years here, and he graduated. No? So, but as early we start, the better will be. Like I think, this message for Sitaram Prabhu and his management group, that ISKCON gives too much attention to this college preaching, but they don't give attention to the children. I had what temple is the most successful in college preaching in India? Pune. Yes, I forgot his name. One devotee came here, Bhagavad-gita, but there was another devotee who started with him the college preaching. No, he started the college preaching before, with Radhesham Prabhu, those times. He said, Prabhu, I'm now, 12 years doing this college preaching. And he said, now I want to shift to Gurukul. He shifted to Gurukul. He said, because we teach these college students, but still they keep so many bad habits, and I'm tired. He said like this. He said, now I want to start with 5 years old because it's easier. I'm not saying we should not preach. We should preach everywhere. Colleges, companies, streets, government. But if we can take care of our children, that's very powerful. Because imagine all this we learned with 17. I joined ashram, I was 16. Imagine you learn all this when you're 5. These boys, they know how to put tilak, how to chant tilak mantras, how to, the basics of philosophy. Then we have one video online with the small boys, very 1.4 million views. We have this video. And one boy is saying, no one taught him that directly. But just by hearing, he said, what do you like the most in Gurukul? He said, I like to play little bit, not too much, eat little bit, not too much, sleep little bit, not too much. He's 5 years old. He was 5 years old. So imagine learn this when you're 5. The difference that makes in your consciousness. Then you cultivate that throughout the years. Very powerful. So we have to focus in teaching the children. Everyone, as I said, we should preach to everyone, but children are very, very important.